Hello, my name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks. And today I want to talk about Memorial Day because guess what? Today is Memorial Day. And my topic is to honor Memorial Day. Let's win the final war, the war against the ego, but I really mean the war against the domination of the ego, but too long for a title. So anyway, but before I get into the show, I would like to first pass you on to sweet baby James, who's going to introduce our show.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Granny Rocks Our World. And this now takes place Mondays and Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time, when Granny shares with us her insights, her wisdom, her wit, her uncommon sense. So, Granny, over to you.
Thank you. Well, I imagine that we're going to be catching a lot of you later on because I'm hoping you're out having a good time on this Memorial Day weekend, or you could be at home like me, where I usually am, having a good time at home. So whichever way, we're always glad to see you, and always please leave a comment, and I try to get back to you. Amy says, hi, Beth and James. I'm so excited. I'm finally back to see your show live. Well, we're so glad you are,
Amy.
too. Hello, Amy.
Glad to see you back.
Okay, so to truly honor Memorial Day, I propose that we win one more war. The war to overcome the domination of the ego. And that war is taking place every moment, in every place, in every person. On the planet, really. And Todd said, hi, Beth and James. And hi, Todd. Welcome. I'm so glad that we're gathering folks. And Tracy says hello and hello back to Tracy. So we've already got some likes going on, so I assume that means people like the topic. I hope so. Oh, I see the troops are gathering here. So we can and should take a moment to remember those who have died in war. I mean, it's a hell of a way to go, isn't it? You know, the films about World War I, about World War II, the images of Vietnam, is just horrible, you know. And whether the war was just or unjust or whatever it was, war is painful. It hurts a tremendous number of people.
There's a lot of trauma.
A lot of trauma. It's very scary for the people who go. And they're very often shamed for being scared, like, oh, you're not supposed to be scared when, you know, troops are firing at you, right? War is scary and it's damaging. It leaves emotional and physical scars that can last a lifetime. The scars of being afraid, you know, you feel bad about being afraid, or you're traumatized, PTSD, you're afraid of being hurt, or the scars of being the one who hurts others. And Tracy says hello. Did I already say hello to Tracy?
Yes,
I probably did. Oh, well, Tracy, you got a double hello today. So the first thing I want to talk about war a little bit. And then I'm going to connect it all to ego. And, you know, I don't know if the show is going to be one show or we're going to be a part 2 on Wednesday, because there's a lot to be said about this, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
So you'll have to forgive me. Either I'm going to be talking really, really fast, or it's going to be great. I don't know how it's going to go. You know, I'm an intuitive. I never know what I'm going to say. But I also want to say, oh, Tracy said hello again to you. Thank you. And Ari said hi, Beth and James, and there's 2 hearts. And thank you, Aria. Hello to you also. So obviously there's political, economic reasons that nations go to war, but I want to talk a little bit about why people go to war, why young people go to war. You know, and one of them was, of course, in the old days, there was a draft. You remember those days.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, and that was something to assiduously be avoided no matter what. You tried to get out of the draft, most people, and then there were those who really were into it and they wanted to go and so on. Now we have both men and women. Things have really changed, but it's an all-volunteer army at the moment. But it's a real question about how voluntary it really is, because there are young people who joined the military for economic reasons or for educational opportunities they don't really see, or because their parents are so sick of them and they say, well, why don't you go join the army already? Right? Get out of my hair, because they're a mess, right? Some people go into the army, which can lead them to war, because they think that that's a way, the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the whatever, because the Air Force, because they think that's a way of having meaning and purpose. So these are people who are desperate for meaning and purpose, and they feel they have it when they go into the armed forces. And this doesn't have anything to do with what happens to them when they actually are in combat and in those situations. But in, they go in very often with either because they're looking for something for themselves or with very idealistic hopes and expectations. Sometimes they believe the government and the government's spin on why we're going to war. We're going to war because Iraq has weapons of mass destruction, meaning they have a lot of coffee, and you know what I mean, or whatever it is that they have. That's really, it's crazy. Okay, and it's not the only time that we've been fooled into going to war, and I'm not even sure that we know. I mean, now it looks like we're being pushed into war with Iran. I mean, we're going to send 10,000 troops, and all these people. Oh yeah, well, let's just send some more troops and look big, and rabble and anyway. So there are people who actually believe what the government tells them sincerely, and they want to serve their country or serve some purpose. Again, this is back to purpose, isn't it? Some young people are pushed into the armed forces by families who have that in their tradition, like, well, your father was the captain or whatever, a general or an admiral or whatever, and your grandfather was, and now it's going to be your grandmother, right? As things change, it's going to be, oh, your mother was in the army. And so their families believe in that. They have that culture, and the kid grows up not really, because kids, many of them haven't been taught to think for themselves yet. And sometimes they have to have a lot of really bad experiences before they do start to think for themselves. It's no different from families pushing young people into being doctors or nurses or whatever it is. I remember my grandma used to say to me, you should become a teacher, whatever. You should become a teacher. So that's what, was held in the highest esteem, right? In our family was education.
Well, when I was a young boy, it was glorified to play war with the other kids.
Exactly.
You hear about G.I. Joe. You got all these toy soldiers.
Yes.
You make war, and
you're
the hero.
James.
You're the hero.
Oh, exactly. I agree with you, and I'm going to get to that.
Beating the bad guys, killing the bad guys.
That's right. Or Indians. Cowboys and Indians. I guess that all the cowboys migrated to India and killed Indians. And then there's young people who go because they have lots of anger and angst, and they don't know what to do with themselves. And they're looking for a legal way to utilize their aggression that's not going to land them in jail for the rest of their lives. And some are actually hoping that discipline is going to settle them down and give them hope for a future, and so on, or because they don't know what it's going to cost them. They say, oh yeah, I'm going to be on a submarine, and I'm just going to push a button, it's not going to bother me, I won't see any dead bodies. It's just that later on you discover how many people you killed. It's just like when they dropped bombs, it's like, oh yeah, oh, there's a big mushroom down there. How many hundreds of thousands, how many people did we incinerate today? How many people did we napalm today? So, there's all these reasons. I can understand these reasons, can't you? But can't we give our young people another way to have economic opportunity, another way to deal with their angst, another way for them to feel purpose, another way for them to have education? You know what I'm saying? Another way to have
channel their aggression.
To channel their aggression. But do we want to? It seems to me that it's in somebody's interest to keep this mentality going. And so it's not just cultural, it's also deliberate, because you don't want all the people who are going off to war into Afghanistan or the Middle East to say, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. No, we don't want that. So not we, but I'm talking about our government, and they want to feel like they have pawns that they can send anywhere. And, I don't know if this is bumming you out for Memorial Day, but what else should we talk about on Memorial Day, right? Now, I have some time left. I want to talk about how the ego comes in.
Yeah.
Right? Inquiring minds want to know how the ego fits this. Well, I found this great quote today, so I'm going to quote it to you. Sri Chinmoy, who is an Indian-born spiritual teacher, said, "World peace can be achieved when the power of love replaces the love of power." Don't you think that is an awesome quote? I mean, it sort of summarizes it, doesn't
really does.
it? You know, instead of us wanting more power in the world and pushing other people around, if we started to want to be in a collaborative world, we probably wouldn't be walking around huffing and puffing and trying to make ourselves big and trying to scare everybody and trying to take over other people's economies and so on. We would be actually trying to achieve what the power of love can achieve in the world, you know, like clean water, healthy food, you know, stamping out horrible diseases. And so, okay, now the ego is all about me. It's about who I am, and it's about me, even if it's at the expense of the highest good of all. Even though the highest good of all includes me. You know, I've been watching America's Got Talent on YouTube, and, you know, I see the competition, and I understand it. And the people, I think they're really good sports, most of the people. But that drive to want to win, it's about, I want to win. I have yet to hear it. Now, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I've never watched this before, and I don't really intend to watch it much more. But I don't hear people say, you know, I really wish we weren't competing. There are so many talented people. Why don't we just make this a showcase where we can share all these gifts with people? But no, you see, from a very early age, we're into competition, which means somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. And so we're not typically looking at, you know, I really think Joe should win. You know, Joe's a much better singer than I am, right? How many times have you had that thought, James, that you thought that somebody else should win because they were better than you? I mean, you may think they're going to win.
Well, that's a foreign thought.
Right. See what I'm saying? So the win-lose, it's whether it's playing with toy soldiers or, you know what I mean, beating your brother in some sports activity or winning a talent contest or whatever it is. So there's that competition. And in a sense, every form of competition is war.
Yeah.
Now, that mentality is killing us, is killing our planet, because we are not supporting the power of love. We're too in love with power. And that's as true within our families as it is within our world. And this battle, the one that we have to win, the final war, is the war against the ego. And that battle isn't so much external as it is internal. Each one of us has to fight that battle out within ourselves.
And with as much support as you can get, and
That's
with
right.
the tools that you need in order to succeed.
That's right. I have a book called Living with Reality, and it's a free download on bethgreen.org. And all you have to do is go there and click, and you can get that book. And it really is an excellent book that explains the ego in depth and gives us tools and processes and explanations and analysis.
It's a manual. It really is a manual for progressing.
Yes.
Overcoming the domination of the ego.
So, but back to
and realizing the higher possibilities.
That's right. So we all have a battlefield within us, and most of us have troops on both sides, because there's a part of us that wants to co-create a more loving world, and there's another part of us that wants to kill all the people we don't agree with or those who get in our way. So now let me just describe some of the things that the ego does. It's not just that it hurts other people. The ego, the me drives us to do more than we can.
And to pretend to be more than we can.
That's right. We're always trying to prove ourselves.
To look good to others.
It makes us. Wanda Marie, hello, welcome.
Hello,
so glad you joined us. This show is going to be on the air when we get off. So even if you missed most of it, you can still tune in. Now, the ego makes us critical of those we love if they don't fit the picture. Oh, you're not making me look good. I don't like that. Oh, this is embarrassing. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. The ego causes us to try to get rid of those who stand in the way of our goals and power. Does that sound like war? But doesn't that happen in the corporate scene and the small businesses, anything?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, it's the part of us that says we are different, unique, better than, or worse than. That's a sign. That's an ego, right? That's saying, I am an individual. I am separate from the whole. It's the part that says, I know, I have the answer. I'm rushing through this. There's a lot about this. It's the part that tells us that power and control are the answer, not love and connection. And the ego is wrong. It's all wrong. As we've been discovering, as people are having experiments of what does it mean when you give people money instead of trying to make them prove that they need it. But I mean, people who actually need the money, if you give it to them instead of making all kinds of things, oh, you have to do this, and you have to do this. We know that when children are supported with love and are being taught to accept themselves, when people are cooperative, miracles take place. If we believe that we would be happier without the ego's drive to prove something about ourselves, to drive ourselves into the ground, to knock off the people who get in our way, to, be threatened by a husband, a child, anybody who doesn't look good, what can we do? So I'm going to say a few words about this before we go. What we can do, we can still stop feeding the belief in winning and losing. We can stop giving children competitive games and give them cooperative games. Every child should be learning cooperative games. Every child should be learning how to support one another in doing better, that they can get a lot of gratification out of helping people. We all know this, right? We can stop normalizing competition. We can stop normalizing winning and losing. We act like competition is the only way to win. We can stop offering war games to children. We can stop getting excited by TV shows that encourage the battle between X and Y. Todd says, this is such a great show and message. Right on. Thank you, Todd. I say we need to make war abnormal.
Yeah.
We need to say, what? War? What the hell are we doing?
Isn't attacking other people not a nice thing to do?
And Todd says, you are so right. Thank you. And we can change our attitude and demonstrate that to children. And we can start demanding that our social institutions start treating people like human beings rather than like adversaries. James and I have watched a few shows with the show Police, Detective series. I love that. But I loved, detective series and all that. But I've also seen the brutality that they're demonstrating. How the attitudes they have, this scumbag and that, it's not like this is a human being who's messed up, right? It's this scumbag, and it's so polarized. Our society is so polarized. So I am going to have to shut up for tonight. But I am asking you to honor Memorial Day with us by winning the final war, the war against the ego. I have a lot more to say about that ego and how it sneaks in. But I hope that we have done something together. Now, what I'd like to do now, I understand that our time is up, and if you want to click goodbye, that's so, okay, I'll cry, but I can handle it. But do like this show and come back on Wednesday live at 6:30 p.m. Monday and Wednesday live now. Thursday we do Dream of Peace, where I play improvisational piano music to nurture the soul, and we are getting enormous response from people from all over the world. It's just amazing language. The music is soothing the soul. You can see that in every nation, people need it. I mean, we're talking from, Sri Lanka to Algeria to Russia to Venezuela. It doesn't matter. people respond to the music because guess what? We're all the same, no matter what we tell ourselves. But anyway, enough of that. But what I would like to do, for those of you who want to hang around, is to sing with Sweet Baby James, and you can sing with us. Where Have All the Flowers Gone by Pete Seeger. Now, some of you have never heard this song because you're younger than we are. But some of you have probably heard Peter, Paul, and Mary or something. So are we ready to sing? To anybody who wants to sing with us, please sing with us. Okay.
Ready?
Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Girls have picked them, every one. When will they ever learn? Where will they ever learn? Now the next line is, where have all the young girls gone? Where have all the young girls gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young girls gone? Long time ago. Where have all the young girls gone? Taken husbands, every one. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Now, you know this song is dated because it's very sexist, but you know, this is the original. Where have all the young men gone? But now you could say young men and women. All right, Wanda says good song. Where have all the young men gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young men gone? Long time ago. Where have all the young people gone? Gone for soldiers, every one. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? I hope you're singing with us. Where have all the soldiers gone? Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the soldiers gone? Gone to graveyards, every one. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? We're up to the last stanza. Oh, Debbie says, how do you both headed to work? Love that song. Just one verse left. Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time passing. Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time ago. Where have all the graveyards gone? Gone to flowers, every one. When will we ever learn? When will we ever learn? Indeed, when will we ever learn? When we ever learn to stop letting the ego dominate us and destroy the beauty of the planet and of our very souls. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate it when you share our program and when you like and comment. And we hope to see you again very soon.
Yes. Bye-bye for now.
Oh, Todd said, great harmonizing. That would be you, James.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.